Adam Berg is back at the Weather Channel headquarters. Adam, can you talk a little bit more about maybe what's going to happen on that southern? Say it was a very wide eye wall.
Oh, there's lots of action with it still, and probably the best way we can show this, see if we can go over to Titan 5, and that'll show you the actual radar here. We can see exactly what we're talking about. Here's the northern eye wall that pushed all the way through Galveston Bay and all the way through where Clear Lake is, and that's where Mike Bettis was reporting. That's what had to bring Mike Bettis inside. But here's the southern part of the eye wall, and by thick, look at how far south we go with this. It's actually well below our storm alert banner here at the bottom of the screen. So we're going to be dealing with a prolonged southern eye wall as it slowly shifts over a lot of these same areas. So it's almost like two landfalls basically here. You've got that first landfall. Here's basically just the size of this outer eye wall, just unbelievable. So basically as this donut continues to move northbound, the southern edge will push and rake right back over a lot of these same areas. Typically, though, the southern eye wall not as rough as the northern eye wall, but as just looking at the radar here, we've got a huge distance to work through. Conditions will likely start falling apart where Stephanie is here, I would say within another hour or so. Here's Galveston, and you can see some of those brighter colors moving in. That's the southern eye wall. So things not over yet. A lot of people are thinking, oh, that wasn't too bad. We're in the eye wall. Not even knowing that you're in the eye wall, and then things will really go downhill as this works northbound again. So let's get back to the maps and just take a look at the satellite shot. And wherever you see the bright colors, those are the higher cloud tops. And you can see that burst here right before landfall and some of those purples sliding around. And that's what brought some of those power outages to where Jorma was in Beaumont. Same deal here where Mike Bettis was in areas just south of Houston, Clear Lake area.
All right. Sorry about that. Wow, that was a heck of a gust. As I get back to your question here, it was a couple of hours ago, we saw some debris fly off the hotel. Parts of the wall were just sheared right off. And some of that debris fell down in the parking lot of the hotel. Actually starting to see portions of the underneath of the outdoor walkway start to breathe a little bit, David. What that's doing is going up and down. So eventually we can see that give way.
Mark Strassman is in Galveston tonight. Mark, rescue teams have their work cut out for them, don't they?
They sure do, Katie. In fact, the top priority here in Ike's aftermath is still search and rescue. And so in Galveston here, for instance, today, teams went house to house, building to building in battered neighborhoods.
They were so relieved. Elderly and disabled residents surviving for 3 days in Galveston without power or water. Finally, they were leaving for San Antonio. But B. Devaney was losing it. On the second floor, her husband, Brian, in his wheelchair, was stuck.
I'm scared. That's why I'm shaking. I've been crying all night, just panicked about what I can do to help him. I feel helpless.
Elevators weren't running, so the Devaneys fretted.
But getting downstairs is the hard part.
Yeah, it's going to be tough.
Wherever Ike smashed Texas for hundreds of miles, the essentials, power, water, gasoline, and patience are all in short supply. In Houston, victims lined up for food. Many people here will have to do without power for weeks.
If I was prepared for this, yes. Yeah, we all were. Not for months.
In most hard-hit areas, victims were told to stay away. But in LaPorte, Texas, some people returned to a shock.
This is my first time back, and we just saw our house, and it's pretty devastating.
But there's another gathering storm of frustration from people kept away from unsafe neighborhoods.
We got to start cleaning up now. If we don't, we'll wind up like New Orleans, gone forever.
Lift. Brian Devaney got out on a canvas litter and the brawn of 10 men.
Thank you so much.
Norman, take care. For another week, the main bridge to this island may stay closed. Residents told to stay away. The last thing Galveston needs is more hungry, thirsty people.
Good evening, Hari.
Good evening, Priya. Most people here in the city of Houston chose to stay and ride out Hurricane Ike. More than 1 million people in the region evacuated. Last night, we found out why.
With 110-mile-an-hour winds and a 13.5-foot storm surge, Hurricane Ike submerged parts of Galveston Island into the Gulf of Mexico and left debris all along the seawall. As it moved inland, the storm damaged boats in Clear Lake, which are now sinking into the harbor. The eye of the storm skirted past downtown Houston, but not before Ike's ferocious winds blasted the tallest building in the city, shattering hundreds of windows and scattering debris over downtown streets. Bayous in Houston neighborhoods overflowed and underpasses were flooded by pounding rains. Ike's gusts toppled trees and blew over fences. Grace Baker rode out the storm and surveyed the damage to her home this morning. Feel lucky?
Very lucky so far. Just like to get the power back on.
Across Texas, there are more than 2.6 million customers without power.
There will be parts of the power that can be restored within about 48 hours, so they're working hard.
But utility companies are already warning that it may take up to a month to restore power to all the affected areas.
We knew we would be without power. It was just a matter of when, so we were prepared.
Ike spiked energy prices by shutting down 14 refineries and 28 natural gas plants in its path. That sent gas prices up nearly 6 cents a gallon to a national average of $3.73. The storm also claimed at least 2 lives, and authorities are working to keep that number from rising.
Now we have, over 10,000 of our emergency responders in our fire, emergency, EMS services, our police, our public works, solid waste that are out there responding to calls right now.
The good news, if there is any for Texas, is that this storm system seems to be moving away rapidly. Hopefully by late tonight or early tomorrow morning, it should be